Welcome, everyone, to Roaming with Restless Women, real talk with wise, dynamic women leaders. Today, I am thrilled to have my very close friend, Carla Howard, on. She is an inspiration to me, and I just don't know that I could go through a week without our mastermind, just so you know. Carla Howard is one of the busiest people I know. She's passionate about supporting women, especially women entrepreneurs and people who long to become paid speakers. She started her Sparkle and Rise community in April of 2020 because she was missing connection with other women, like a lot of us were at the beginning of COVID. She wanted to find a way for women to support women in living their dream lives. The community consists right now of more than 750 women who interact within the Facebook group, smaller masterminds, book clubs, and all kinds of programs. She also started a program called Get Paid from the Stage, which helps individuals, not just women, narrow down their expertise and topics, prepare their one sheets, and market themselves to organizations who routinely hire paid speakers. If that wasn't enough, she's also an independent change management consultant and online course creator. So welcome, Carla.
Thank you, Julie. I'm so excited to be on your podcast, and I just love the focus of it. So thank you so much for having me.
Your focus has become my focus too. So there we go. We've got to, all of us women got to stick together. So tell me just a little bit, Carla, about overall your career journey.
Yeah, gosh, if I think back, it didn't turn out the way that I thought it was going to. And I think that's a theme, especially if we're just open to what might be possible. Really started getting my groove in the Lean Six Sigma world. So process improvement, data-driven analytics and decisions. And that ended up taking me into the change management world because I really had a passion for how are we going to support the people that are impacted by all these cool things we're doing, and realized pretty early on that really is the key to having a successful change in our workplaces, is supporting those people. And so went along that journey. I've led global change enablement offices, done work all around the world in change management. And through my travels, met so many women that were just not, I'll say, living the life that they dreamed of, that really ignited that passion, that part of my work. And about 6 years ago, I got laid off from a full-time job that I absolutely loved and decided, what, now's my time. So I jumped into the entrepreneurial pool and started creating different lines of business, a lot of them that you've already mentioned, and thought, man, how can I do really cool work that I love and sustain my lifestyle doing it? And that's how I ended up creating my business focus.
And so what do you think is the thread, or your red thread, as Marcus Buckingham says, that kind of throughout your career, what is that red thread of values that holds it all together?
Oh my gosh, I love that question so much because I didn't know the answer for a really long time. Like, I would listen to Simon Sinek and his whole follow your why, you have to have a why. And I thought, oh, I'm just dying over here because I don't have one. Like, I've got all these different things. And then I realized that I do have the red thread. And for me, it is really helping people go from where they are today to where they want to be tomorrow. Might be helping a woman entrepreneur who's just starting out on her journey, might be helping speakers learn how to get paid from the stage. I am a keynote speaker, and a significant part of my revenue comes from that. And so I've developed that problem. Or it might be helping corporations create sustainable change by supporting the people in the process. So I really do have one now that I think back, and it's actually always been there, which is interesting.
Absolutely. I think that you and I have a very similar path as far as where I didn't think my life was going to wind up being a change management person and an entrepreneur. I also got laid off. So we have talked about that we have that similar path, and that a lot of our passion is around helping others. and helping them move along in their careers. I love that we share that together. So tell me about some of the challenges that you faced, either personally or professionally, and then how did you overcome those? And when you decided to become an entrepreneur, specifically when you decided to become an entrepreneur, what were some of the initial thoughts that you had?
Oh my gosh, first of all, I was absolutely terrified. So that is my first initial thought. And I had this limiting thought for the first couple of years that I'll never be able to make more than I made in corporate, because I had a great job. I love the people, and I was paid really well.
Mhm.
And I believed that I would never make more money than I made in corporate. And it was scary, right? Because I have a spreadsheet with all of my expenses and my income. I'm very detailed. And when you're an entrepreneur, you're guessing. You don't really know what's going to come in. So it was scary.
Mhm.
And I will tell you, the first couple of years, I was right. I did not make more than I did in corporate. I put that limit on myself. I believed it to be true. And by golly, I made that come true. It wasn't until I was an entrepreneur for probably close to 4 years that I really wrestled with myself and said, this is ridiculous. I can and will make more money than I made in corporate. And today that's true for me. And I would say those are were my biggest struggles, is fear around money, fear that I would not be able to earn more than my corporate income, and then really fighting that belief that I had, because I was making that come true, and it was not a good thing.
Absolutely. And so tell me a little bit about how you fought it specifically.
Oh my gosh, I fought it through meditation. I fought it through visualization. I fought it through speaking out loud how much money I was going to make, that I was going to make more. I fought it through every time I would feel that thought come into my head, I would push it away. I even
Mhm.
did this thing, I still do it. It's so much fun. I have these beautiful wind chimes on my back porch, and they're deep and they ring. And I decided that every time I heard my wind chimes ding, it was the universe telling me that money was coming to me. It was like blowing to me. And so all day long, I'd hear these chimes and I would say out loud, oh my gosh, there's more money coming. I don't know where or how, but it's on the way. And it took a very deliberate effort to change my mindset around what was possible for me money wise.
Yeah. I want you, if you wouldn't mind, to share the salt and pepper lesson,
Ah!
because it helped me quite a bit when you first introduced that about how valuable are we.
Yeah, so I love the salt and pepper exercise, and I still do it. And the way that I
Mhm.
introduce it, and it applies to every area of making money in our lives. When we think about a salary we're going to ask for, or how much we're going to price our programs, or how much we're going to charge for a talk. And
Mhm.
the exercise that I share with my paid from the stage folks is this: you get out a salt shaker and you get out a pepper shaker,
Mhm.
and you write on a post-it note how much you're going to charge for your talk. So let's say you're an emerging speaker and you're going to ask $5,000, and it's way more than you've ever asked before. You put the salt shaker in front of you and pepper, and you point at the salt shaker and say, that's salt. Point at the pepper shaker and say, that's pepper. And my talk is $5,000. My talk is $5,000. That's pepper and that's salt. And you do that for about 5 minutes every morning. And the power of that is salt isn't salt unless you need it to be paprika. It's salt today, it's going to be salt tomorrow. And your price is what your price is. And the more that you do that exercise, it conditions your brain to think of your price as a speaker as a fact and
Yes.
something you're going to simply state. And I often coach women that are going into salary negotiations to do the same thing. That's salt,
Mhm.
that's pepper. The salary I'm asking is $150,000. I'm asking for $150,000 because I'm worth it, and that is salt.
There you
And
go.
it just begins to turn that number that before seemed so big into a fact. I'll tell you a funny story. When I first started speaking, I had no idea what to charge for talks. And I undercharged my first professional speaking gig. And the event organizer said, we're going to pay you more than that. And B, we're going to have dinner and we're going to talk about your speaking fees. So I learned very quickly I was undercharging. And I did start out then after that conversation at around 5 grand. Today, my talks are between 12 and 15. And
Hmm.
it's funny because I've gotten so used to it. It's actually easier to say that than it used to be to say 5,000.
Of course. Of course. And
Yeah.
how do you find your ideal speaking gigs? Who do you like to speak to most?
I have three verticals that I speak in. So I do speak at women's conferences quite a bit. I just
Mhm.
spoke at the Women in Electronics Summit, loved it. Just the energy at a women's conference is different than
Yes.
any other event. So I love that energy and the connection. And so that's on topics like, is your inner critic designing your future, speaking with confidence, things like that. I also speak on topics of change management, specifically for leaders, executive leaders, on how to lead change effectively. And then I do what I'll call professional development talks on things like critical thinking and crucial conversations. And a lot of times that's either emerging leaders who I love working with because
Yeah.
they're so hungry for the coaching, or it may be for a conference where they know that's a gap that their community is trying to fill. I think my favorite is the women's conferences, just because of that energy and the community and the sisterhood when you're there. I just love those events.
And so tell me about which of your endeavors in your entrepreneurial journey came first.
Which, let me think about that for a minute. The
Okay.
speaking came first because I started that when I was in corporate.
Okay. So it was a
And
side gig
it was a
for
side
a
gig.
while.
And
Hmm.
I only spoke on topics supporting women because to speak on change management or
Yeah.
change leadership would have been a conflict. So
Yeah.
that came first. And then when I got laid off, I kept thinking I would go back to corporate, but I really didn't want to. And so it took me about probably 3 months to get my head wrapped around I wasn't going to do that. And then I started the change management consulting as soon as I figured out that that was going to be a path I would go down. I also created online courses while I was in corporate. So that's another revenue stream that I had already started.
That's amazing. You, like I said, busiest person I know. What did you learn, or what do you know now that you wished you'd known from the very beginning of your
Oh,
not of your corporate career, but of your entrepreneurial career?
yeah, I think a couple of things. I wish I would have known the importance of reaching out to sell my services. I really didn't want to do it. I just wanted to hang a shingle out. And I guess I thought people would knock on the door and say, hey, I saw your shingle. I'd like to hire you as a speaker, or I'd like to hire you for change management consulting. I still don't love that part of it. And it's required in order to build a good book of business. I often say, when I think about speaking, it takes a lot of work I don't like doing to do the one thing I love doing. So I don't like doing outreach. I don't like submitting calls for speakers. I don't like practicing. It's boring to me because I've got nobody in front of me. I'm talking to my dogs or the computer screen, and it's required in order for me to deliver an amazing presentation. So the thing I wish I would have known, and it relates to my change management work as well, the outreach, all of
Oh
that,
yeah. Yeah.
is it takes a lot of doing stuff I don't like doing to get to do the things that I do and will bring in revenue. So buckle up, buttercup, and start doing the stuff you don't like doing. That's what I
Right.
would have known.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you there. Because what I can tell you is if you think becoming an entrepreneur is going to automatically, magically change your life and you're going to have all this time to yourself and all this ease, again, buckle up, buttercup, because that's not what it's really like.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, so we're getting to the end. And so I have three questions that I always ask all of my people, all of my guests. The first one is I like for you to, this is unconventional. Close your eyes for just a moment
Okay.
and describe the picture that appears in your mind when I say wise woman.
Can I open my eyes now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I see a lovely woman in her probably between mid 50s and mid 60s with a little bit of gray in her hair, wearing flowing hippie clothes. Just think back to the 70s, like
Oh, yeah.
flowy hippie clothes. And she's grounded personally. She's relaxed and she loves who she is.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love that vision. That's me.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish that was me. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I got to go buy a couple of caftans, I think.
Exactly.
Okay, the second to last question. Where do you like to roam?
Oh man. First of all, I love walking. So when I think
Mhm.
about roaming, I think about walking. And we have a cabin up in Pine Top, and I love walking up here. It is quiet. I get time to think. I love doing what I call walking meditation up here. And it's where I go on a walk by myself, no phone, no headphones, no nothing. And I'll do one of two things. I'll choose a sound in nature that I'm listening for. So it might be bird song, it might be leaves rustling, and just walk and listen to that for that sound. Or I'll choose a color in nature. As I begin my walk, maybe I'll see a purple flower and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to look for purple. And it just calms my mind and my spirit. And I love those walking meditations in the forest.
Oh, those are great tips. That's excellent because I know I get too distracted. I'm all over the place. But yeah, I love the tip of listening for a specific sound or looking for a specific color. That's
Yeah, and if you're
amazing.
like where there's water or a stream, you can listen
Mm,
like water running, and it just clears your mind for me in a way that nothing else does. Because if I just go for a walk, I'm going to be thinking about 50,000 things.
oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for those tips.
Yeah.
And the last question, what makes you restless?
What makes me restless? It's not a very sexy answer. Worrying about money.
Yeah.
I hate this is why I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. In fact, I always said, be careful of what you say you'll never do. I always
Hmm.
said I would never be an entrepreneur because I have to know how much money is coming in the door. When I look at my spreadsheet, I call it my magic spreadsheet. When I look at my magic spreadsheet and I don't have the engagements booked, it makes me nervous and restless. And I've had to learn to lean in and just trust. There have been so many times my husband will say, I'll say something we're going to do. And he's like, how's that going to happen? I'm like, don't know, not my job to figure it out. It's my job to decide what's going to happen and then just trust. And he's,
Yeah.
all right, here we go. But yeah, the hardest thing is to just lean in and really trust that I know I'm on the right path. I don't know how, but I know it's all going to work out.
Hmm. I Another lesson learned for me.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, how can we help promote your businesses?
Gosh, the one that comes to mind is Get Paid from the Stage. And if anyone's interested in, it's a 6-week program where I walk you through how to build your speaker package, give you tips like the salt and pepper exercise, show people what they should be charging. And it's a very hands-on. So I only run the program 3 times a year and limit it to no more than 10 people. So if anyone out there is an emerging speaker who's, man, I need to figure out how to get paid, or someone that's just not getting paid for the value,
Mm,
I'd love for them to check out the 6-week program or share it with a friend. And you can just go to getpaidfromthestage.com and it'll open up the landing page with more information. I think the
awesome.
the other thing they could do is I'm very active on LinkedIn. And so you'll see all this stuff I'm up to over there. But if you're interested in connecting, I would love to connect with folks on LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. We're going to put all of those links in the show notes, and I will put in a personal plug. I have taken Get Paid from the Stage, and it is a phenomenal program. If you are inclined, please sign up for that program whenever it comes up next because you will not regret it. It's well worth the money.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Carla, for coming on and helping with this podcast. I will make sure that you get all the information you need so that we can both put it out there and get it out in the world. Wisdom Women. There we go.
I
All
love
right. Thanks, Carla.
it. Thank you.